Nobody tells you how loud silence can be after you walk away. You'd think it would be peaceful, liberating. You'd imagine this immediate sense of freedom, of weightlifting, of finally being able to breathe again. And maybe for some people it is. But for me, those first few days in my new apartment were just heavy, like the air itself had substance. I'd wake up in an unfamiliar bed and for those first 3 seconds forget where I was, forget what had happened, then it would rush back. The conversation, her tears, my resolve, the door closing behind me, and I'd lie there staring at a ceiling I didn't know yet, in a room that didn't smell like us, feeling like I'd cut off a limb to save the body. Necessary, but brutal. The first person I called was my sister. 2 a.m., couldn't sleep, needed to hear a familiar voice. She answered on the second ring. She'd been waiting for this call. "You did it." "I did it." "How do you feel?" That's the question everyone asks. How do you feel? Like there's supposed to be a simple answer. Happy, sad, relieved, angry. But feelings aren't neat like that. They're messy, contradictory. I felt everything and nothing all at once. Like I'm floating, but also like I'm drowning. She got it, didn't try to fix it or minimize it or tell me it would get better soon. Just said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." We talked for an hour about logistics, about next steps, about how I'd explain this to mutual friends, because that's the part nobody warns you about when relationships end. The social navigation, the division of friend groups, the awkward questions, the people who'll want details you don't want to give, the ones who'll take sides without knowing the whole story. She texted me the next day, multiple times, started with apologies, long paragraphs about how sorry she was, how she'd made a mistake, how we could fix this. When I didn't respond, they shifted, got angry. I was giving up too easily. I was being cruel. I never really loved her if I could walk away like this. I blocked her number, not out of anger, out of self-preservation. Because I knew myself, knew that if I let her keep reaching out, eventually I'd crack. Eventually I'd engage. And engagement meant conversation. And conversation meant the possibility of being pulled back into something I'd worked so hard to escape. My therapist called it protecting my boundaries. I called it survival. Work became my refuge. I threw myself into projects, stayed late, volunteered for things I'd normally avoid, because work was objective, clear. You complete a task, you move to the next one. Success and failure are measurable. Unlike relationships, where you can do everything right and still lose. My coworkers noticed the change. Some asked directly. Others just gave me space. One guy, Marcus, who'd gone through a divorce the year before, pulled me aside during lunch one day. "You look like I did. How'd you get through it?" "One day at a time." Sounds cliche as hell, but it's true. You just wake up and get through that day, then you do it again. Eventually, the days start to feel less impossible. How long did it take? Longer than I wanted, shorter than I feared. That became my mantra, one day at a time. I stopped thinking about the future, about what I'd lost, what could have been, what I'd hoped we'd build together. I focused on getting through each day, wake up, shower, work, eat, sleep, repeat. The nights were hardest. During the day, I could distract myself, stay busy, keep my mind occupied. But at night, lying in bed, that's when the thoughts would come. The what-ifs, the replaying of conversations, the wondering if I'd been too harsh, too cold, if there was something I could have done differently. I'd catch myself reaching for my phone to text her about something funny that happened, or wanting to tell her about my day, or just wanting her there. Not the her who'd betrayed me, the her I thought I knew. The her I'd fallen in love with. But that person was a fiction, a character she'd played. The real her was someone who could compartmentalize a double life, who could look me in the eye and lie without flinching, who could plan a future with someone else while sleeping next to me. I had to keep reminding myself of that, because memory is a liar. It tries to soften the bad and magnify the good. It wants to rewrite history into something more palatable. Make you forget why you left. Make you remember only what you lost. I started journaling, writing down the facts, the timeline, the evidence, not to dwell on it, but to have something concrete to look at when my brain tried to trick me into missing her. Friends started inviting me out more, trying to help me get back out there. I appreciated the intention but resented the implication, like I could just replace her, like relationships were interchangeable, like I hadn't just spent months planning an escape from someone I thought I'd spend my life with. I wasn't ready to date, wasn't sure I'd ever be ready again. How do you trust again after that? How do you let someone in when you know what they're capable of? When you've learned that the person sleeping next to you could be living an entirely separate life? But I went out anyway. Not to bars or clubs or anywhere with romantic potential. Just to dinner, to movies, to normal human interaction that reminded me I existed outside of that relationship, that I was a person before her and would continue being one after her. 3 weeks after I left, a mutual friend reached out. Carefully, diplomatically, said she was just checking in on both of us. I could read between the lines. She'd talked to my ex, heard her side, was fishing for mine. I'm fine, I told her. I don't want to get into details. It's done. I'm moving forward. She's pretty devastated. I'm sure she is. She said you wouldn't even talk to her, won't return her calls. I said what I needed to say. There was a pause. I could feel her weighing her words, trying to decide if she should push. Look, I don't know what happened between you two, but she seems genuinely sorry. Maybe I need you to hear me. I kept my voice even. I appreciate that you care about both of us, but this isn't some miscommunication or fight we can resolve. She made choices over months that disrespected me and our relationship. I'm not interested in giving her another opportunity to do that. People make mistakes, and people face consequences. I'm not being cruel, I'm being self-protective. Those aren't the same thing. She backed off after that, and I realized that would keep happening. People who didn't know the full story would default to middle ground, would push for reconciliation because that's the easier narrative. Breaking up is failure. Fighting for it is romantic. Never mind that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. I stopped explaining myself after that. When people asked, I kept it simple. It didn't work out. I'm doing okay. If they pushed, I changed the subject. My healing wasn't a group project. 4 weeks in, I came home to find a package at my door. From her. I knew her handwriting. Knew I should probably just throw it away unopened. But curiosity won. Inside was a letter, handwritten, pages of it, apologies, explanations, promises, all the things she hadn't managed to say when it mattered. I read it once, then burned it, literally, in the kitchen sink. Watched the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. Because I didn't need her version of events. I didn't need her justifications or her guilt or her desperate attempt to rewrite what had happened. I needed to move forward. That's when I started to feel different. Not better, not healed, but different. Like I was becoming someone new, someone harder, more guarded, but also more certain, more decisive, less willing to accept less than I deserved. People talk about heartbreak like it's this purely destructive thing, like it only takes away, but it gives too. Clarity, strength, a reorganization of priorities. I learned what I wouldn't tolerate, what I needed, what I deserved. I learned that love without respect is worthless, that potential means nothing without action, that words are empty without behavior to back them up. I learned I could survive losing someone I thought I'd die without.